Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take your stack of research, whether it's super technical or maybe a little strange, and we pull out the nuggets of knowledge you need.
And today, we're on a pretty weird mission.
We really are. We're solving a grammar mystery.
That's right. This deep dive is all about the surprisingly complex world of collective nouns, and we're going to break it down by looking at a fictional story that was written specifically to teach them.
So for our sources, we have the formal definition guide on one hand.
When on the other, we have these great excerpts from a story called The Noun Town Mystery of the Library Looter.
I love this concept. It's a 10-chapter mystery where every single chapter is designed to just hammer home, like 15 new collective nouns.
Exactly. So our mission is twofold. First, understand what these tricky terms are and how to use them.
And second, to analyze this, frankly, ingenious plot that manages to turn an entire town, almost overnight, into a single unified army of readers.
It's quite a story.
Okay, so let's start with the absolute basics. Before we get to the crime, let's talk about the language. For anyone who might be new to this, what exactly is a collective noun?
Well, the concept itself is pretty simple. It's a single word that refers to a group of people, animals, or things. But we treat it, grammatically, as a single unit.
Okay, so give me the classic examples.
All the ones you hear all the time. A team, a herd of cattle, a bunch of grapes, a jury, a company's staff. One word that's, doing the work for many individuals.
That sounds simple enough, but this is where it gets messy for learners. And I mean, even for experienced writers. It's that dreaded subject-verb agreement issue.
That is the absolute core of it. That's the challenge the Noun Town authors are trying to solve. You have to decide if the group is acting as one single thing or if the individual members are all acting separately.
And that choice changes the verb.
Completely.
So if the group acts as one cohesive unit, the verb is singular.
Exactly. You'd say, the jury is still deliberating. We're thinking of them as one body, making one decision. That one group is doing the action.
But if the focus shifts to the individuals inside that group, the verb suddenly flips to plural. Like, I can say, the team are arguing among themselves.
Yes, perfect example, because you're not picturing the team as a unit on the field. You're picturing the individual players, shouting at each other.
Right.
The source guide has this neat little trick. It says to try replacing the noun with one for singular or two for plural to see which sounds right. And that subtle difference is the entire foundation for the Noun Town mystery.
And that's the genius of it, which we're about to see. The authors use a crime, a really high-stakes scenario, to force the townspeople to shift from being scattered individuals to acting as one unified army.
The perfect grammar lesson.
Okay, let's dive into the chaos. Chapter 1. Noun Town seems quiet, but then the library gets hit. What was the actual crime?
Well, the crime was pure theater. It wasn't theft. The entire contents of the library, every single book, was taken out and just littered all over the front lawn.
Wow.
Just extreme, organized literary disorder. And the poor librarian who finds it, the text says she was driven absolutely mad and had to be hospitalized.
And the response is a little over the top. A bomb squad for scattered books.
It is, but you have to remember the author's mission. Cram in those collective nouns. The first description is just a rapid-fire list. You have an eerily silent crowd of onlookers staring.
Okay.
And above them, a parliament of owls is watching from the trees. It adds this really strange, almost supernatural vibe to the whole scene.
And the official response is described just as specifically.
Oh, absolutely. The library staff is marched out, the police force has no leads, and yes, they deploy a bomb squad and a team of officers to search the building.
Checking for a bomb among the romance novels.
You got it. And a whole syndicate of reporters is there documenting this baffling event.
So right from the jump, the community is framed in these collective terms, but they're all disorganized. By chapter 2, the shock wears off and a flock of onlookers breaks up.
Right, and the mayor is just left scratching his head, wondering which member of his constituency could have possibly done this. The town is defined by its groups, but they're all separate and confused. It's the perfect setup.
Okay, so the town is in chaos. Then things get really interesting.
Yes. The true game begins in chapter 4. The looter, who's still at large, publishes a letter in the local paper. It's less of a confession and more of a strange apology for the thicket of trouble and the plague of shenanigans.
An apology. If you ransack a library, that's not a shenanigan, that's a felony. But that's just the setup for the real hook, isn't it?
It is. The looter claims that while they were scattering all the books, gazing up at the galaxy and constellations, they left something behind.
Not a clue.
No. A large bank of wealth, actual cash tucked inside the pages of whatever book they were reading out there.
Wait, so the looter didn't just break the law. They assigned the whole town mandatory reading homework. That's brilliant.
And that's the demand. The town has to find the money by checking out a bushel of books. But, and this is the key, they must read them.
And there's a threat attached.
Right. A really bizarre, vague threat. Something like, don't let me catch you returning the bulk of books without reading them. I'd hate to have to turn your house inside out.
The sheer absurdity of that, plus the lure of cash, must just light a fire under the whole community.
It does. By chapter 5, they've totally ignored the threat and are focused 100% on the money.
So the collective action begins.
Immediately, a harvest of information spreads through a network of gossip. Everyone's talking strategy.
Right.
A local Girl Scout troop increases its meetings, probably to coordinate their search. Families start reading together every single night, hunting for that nest of money.
And all while the original librarian, the one who started all of this, is on leave. The town is now acting as one big, greedy unit, but the result is exactly what a librarian would want. So weeks go by, and then months. The looter is silent. The money never turns up, but the behavior change in the town is, well, it's complete.
It's a total transformation. The town has absolutely earned the title the looter gives them later, an army of readers.
I love how the source material breaks down the reading mania by genre. It uses even more collective nouns to paint this picture of who was reading what.
The author is just relentless. Children are devouring a feast of picture books. Teenagers, of course, are tearing through a horde of paranormal romances.
Of course.
Mothers are reading a regiment of historical romances, and the old men are all checking out a platoon of war memoirs. Every single demographic has its own collective reading goal.
The side effects of this reading spree are honestly the best part of the story. The civic impact is just fantastic.
It actually hurt the local economy in some ways. The cable company issued a catalog of complaints because of a large chunk of cancellations.
Huh. People were choosing books over TV.
Exactly. And meanwhile, you have the school board members who are just thrilled because reading levels are escalating at unheard of rates. They completely forgot about the money and started sharing a portfolio of book blurbs with each other.
And what about the library itself? It must have been chaos.
Oh, yeah. The assistant librarian who was left in charge, her old boring days were now just an illusion. She's managing a line of regulars and a daily slew of books. Her reporter boyfriend is even using a list of unchecked books to get an inside angle.
Even the mayor gets in on it.
Even the mayor. He's lonely at home, so he goes and checks out an anthology of books on the U.S. presidents. The looters' plan forced the entire community into one single shared mission.
Which brings us to the final chapter, the big reveal. It's winter. The town has totally changed. So who was the looter?
It's the original librarian, the one who was supposedly institutionalized in Chapter 1. She comes back to the building, and it's completely transformed. Holiday decorations everywhere. She finds a kit of little kids reading, a fleet of women in a new book club.
Just worshippers of the written word.
Everywhere. And that's when she confesses to her husband she was the one who did it all.
And she's not even that sorry about it.
Not really. She says she only apologizes for the intentionally misleading part. Her goal wasn't just to scatter books. It was to use the idea of a hidden cache of fortune to drive them to the real treasure.
The wealth wasn't money. It was literacy.
Exactly. She wanted to make them understand that the wealth to be found in words was the real prize. The crime, her breakdown, it was all an elaborate pedagogical trick.
And her final quote, when she retires, is that the library is much, much better than I left it.
A perfect ending.
So let's bring this all the way back to our grammar lesson for the beginning. What's the final insight here? Because it's not just a cute story. It really reinforces the concept.
It absolutely does. The collective pursuit of that external fake treasure, it successfully forced the whole community to act as a single, unified unit. They were all driven by the same singular motivation: greed.
And because they were acting as one unit with one goal, the description the town is reading became grammatically correct.
And functionally correct. The story uses this civic action to perfectly illustrate the rule. The town went from a disorganized crowd of individuals, where you might use a plural verb, to a unified army acting as one, where the singular verb fits perfectly.
The grammar itself actually tracked the town's improvement.
That's a great way to put it.
So it leaves you with this final thought. If a fictional town can be so easily motivated by a supposed hidden cache of fortune to dramatically improve itself, what other social goods could we achieve?
Hmm.
Could we use the same kind of psychological trick to solve bigger problems? Maybe we just need to find the right collective noun and the right incentive to galvanize a community, to get them to act as one singular, unstoppable army. You have to wonder what other collective nouns are just out there waiting for us to put them to work.